Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. No FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, happy hump day, everybody. Man, we got lots to get to today on the JP Peterson Show, presented by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. You check him out at PalermoPA.com. The Bucs make some major moves, some shocking surprises. The Rays still hanging in there on Freddie Freeman, but a lot of guys coming off the board. Will the Rays be left holding their wanker? We don't know. We don't know. We shall find out. Maybe today. The Lightning back in action tonight at the Kraken, their first time in Seattle for a hockey game. Lots to get to here today. We'll even talk a little spring football on the JP Peterson Show. Welcome in. We appreciate you guys listening each and every day. We try to give you the best 2 hours of Tampa Bay Centric Sport Talk, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. Nick Geddes joining me here from Outkick.com. How are you, my friend, this morning?
I'm doing great, and you got it all wrong.
Yeah.
It's not a hump day today.
It's not a hump day.
It is not a hump day.
What day is it? If it's not hump day.
It is 3/16 today.
3/16. What is
It is Austin 3/16 day
Oh,
today.
This is a wrestling reference that's going right over my head.
Well, it's trending all over Twitter.
Oh,
Trending all over. It's Austin 3/16 day. So in honor of Stone Cold, you got to drink some beers. Not the beers you drink.
Right.
Some Steve Weisers. You got to
Some
drink
Steve
some
Weiser.
Steve Weisers.
What's a Steve Weiser?
It's a Steve Weiser. That's all
Okay.
you need to know.
Okay.
Drink some Steve Weisers, double the birds,
Okay.
and just, raise them up, and there you go.
All right. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I think it's very exciting for those of you in the wrestling world.
It is very, very exciting day.
Good. Well, you'll have to explain it to me. What happened with Steve Austin? Did he retire?
What?
What happened with him?
He's been retired 19 years.
So was he coming? Well, they never retire. They're like,
Wait, he's okay. Real quick. He's the only one that's actually stayed true to his retirement. His last match.
See, I'm like, wrestlers don't retire.
It's
part of the script, bro.
His
In
last
case you didn't
match
know.
was 19 years ago against The Rock at WrestleMania.
Oh, really?
Yes. He was just called out. He's kind of having a match at this year's WrestleMania. It's kind of a talk show, but WrestleMania this year is an AT&T. He's big time from Texas, so
Right.
it's going to be.
So he's got to be a big
So
part
he's
of it.
got to be a big part of it. He's probably going to deliver a few stunners, drink some beer,
Mhm.
and go home. So it's going to be great.
That's going to be exciting.
It's going to be very exciting.
What would that be analogous to in, say, football?
Stone Cold.
Yeah, Brady coming back, or like Christian Okoye coming back to run a few up the middle. What would it be?
Man, where do you even go with that?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I don't know. Joe Montana coming out of retirement right
Joe
now?
Montana?
Maybe.
Really?
Peyton Manning, something like that.
Yeah.
It's got to be someone from a little bit longer ago.
None of that I would like to see, by the way. None of it makes me
Wrestling's
really
a little
kinda wanna-
different, though.
I know.
Wrestling's a little different.
It's really
You
different.
can hide a few things in the fact that he's 50-something years old.
And it's all in the script. I love it. It's just so exciting. Get those script writers going. All right. I poo-poo that, and all the wrestling people get mad at me. I get it. Sometimes I play the foil here, folks. So I have to apologize. I'm going to apologize to Rays fans today because it is a little bit part of the bit here with my co-host here of the younger generation, and these idealistic Rays fans that haven't been beaten down like me, that know damn well that we're not signing Freddie Freeman. But I think it's been taken as like I'm being mean to fans like you, that I'm stealing your hopes and dreams, and just like you say, let me dream. So I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to be mean. It's kind of part of the bit, because I would be just as excited as you if we got Freddie Freeman. I love the Rays. I'm passionate about the Rays. Probably a bit more realistic about the Rays, a little bit more pragmatic about the Rays than you. But I just want to make sure you all know that it's not mean-spirited. It's just kind of, we're having some fun with it. If they signed Freddie Freeman, I would do like nothing more than to eat my words. We'll re-rack all the times I laughed at you, and we'll put it back on the show, and you can laugh at me. I'll eat it. Fantastic. I would absolutely love for that to happen. But it ain't happening. Sorry. So we'll get to the Rays in a little bit. Eric Neander spoke with the media yesterday. We'll get you some of that. But we're going to begin with the Bucs, because this was a couple of stunners yesterday. A couple of stunners in honor of Steve Austin. A couple of stunners. The Shaq Mason thing it came out of left field for me. First of all, I've covered Shaq Mason when he was at Georgia Tech. And I remember I went to a lot of Georgia Tech games when I was in Atlanta working for the Falcons. And that guy stuck out like a sore thumb. They were running the triple option. And the reason the triple option worked at Georgia Tech, and they had some really good years when he was there, because that dude would take 3 or 4 people with him, like every freaking play. He was knocking over people like he was one of the most dominant offensive linemen in college that I've ever seen. It was funny watching this dude play. He was just mauling people. And then when he went so late in the draft, I think he went the 4th or 5th round. I was like, this is crazy. This guy is so freaking good. He is a mauler, and it's kind of weird that NFL scouts. Probably because he didn't pass block a lot. At Georgia Tech was probably why his stock fell. But he's a very able-bodied pass blocker. I think he gave up 16 pressures and 588 attempts last year, which is pretty damn good. He's as stout as it gets. His blocking grade, run blocking grade is like 88.7, one of the tops in the league. He's literally PFF ranked, I think, in the top 5 of guards. Is he not?
Yeah, he's in the top 5. Even I don't know if I want to compare him to Ali Marpet, but he was higher graded than him.
Yeah,
from Pro Football Focus over the career. So
yeah, by a lot of measures, he might be better than Ali Marpet. I think Ali might be a little bit better a pass blocker, but not much. I mean, it's marginal at best. And I thought it was interesting what Clyde Christensen said in Rick Stroud's article today in the Times about Brady had a list ready already. He had a list ready of how they could get better, and their concentration is on what? The run game. The run game. Like, we got to get better in the run game. And I was so happy to hear that. That's what we've been talking about for, a week here, is not just for the Bucs, but NFL in general. And, the Bucs can't throw the ball 744 times. They led the league in passing attempts.
Not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. I mean, yeah, Brady didn't get it. He got hit the lead last year despite that, and that's great. But it's still too many opportunities for him to get hit. And they just need more balance. They got to have more balance. And that's why when you go up against a team like the Saints, who kind of have your number, you got to have something you can fall back on. You got to have a run game that if they're taking away whatever you do from a passing standpoint, you've got to have an answer for that. And the Bucs too often not in the run game. So whether it's getting it back, they're talking about getting it back. I don't know if they're going to, the free agents on the market, if there's anybody they're really, really interested in. Maybe it's in the draft. Now that you have a guard, maybe, I hate to say take a running back in the first round, but there's going to be some damn good running backs available in the first round.
I don't know. I'm against taking any running back in the first round.
I am too.
I don't care who you are. But I would say I was thinking running back at the time, 3rd, 4th round.
Right.
I could be
convinced.
If
Fournette doesn't come back.
If Fournette come back, then I could say 2nd round now. Because, which I don't know if people haven't seen it yet, but Rashad Perriman just got re-signed.
Yep, Perriman. Yep.
Even with the signing of Russell Gage yesterday, I still thought wide receiver wouldn't be a bad play, because I still think there's a big drop off there from those now 3 guys. Well, yeah, Perriman in there now, Miller, Johnson. That's going to be the 6.
You can't go.
You can't go receiver.
No.
You could maybe go guard again. Because are you convinced that Stenny can play 17 games for you at left guard?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. It definitely takes the pressure off. And again, this will be a draft where they don't have to get anybody. They don't have to fill a certain need. Like before, we're like, yeah, we got to get a guard, got to get a receiver, got to get maybe a defensive tackle. But now there's no immediate need, so you can go best player available. And I haven't really even looked at the running backs, to be quite honest, because I'm not thinking about the top upper echelon. But now I think you start looking at them and see if there's somebody really special in the draft.
Well, the names I think that are going to pop, you probably know these names. Like Kenneth Walker from Michigan State, who is number 1. Breece Hall from Iowa State,
who was Walker. What do you have 3 something against? Who was it? That ridiculous game that he had, but he was
nearly a Heisman contender,
but he fell right off.
Yeah.
Like he just dropped off the map after that. I don't know if he got injured or what happened, but it's definitely first round. I'm like, nah, but I see them coming out the running back in the first 2 rounds. No doubt about it. but this takes the pressure off of him big time in terms of having to get something. But this Shaq Mason signing for a 5th round pick, you get a guard as good or better than Ali Marpet. What the hell are the Patriots thinking?
It reminds me.
How do you give away that guy for a 5th round pick, man?
It reminds me so much of a trade that Dig Jason made with them years ago when they traded Tim Wright, backup tight end, to the Patriots for Logan Mankins.
Yeah,
and he became a Pro Bowler for the
That's
Bucs.
right.
Same exact guys in the deal. Patriots, Bucs, liked and Belichick, and he did it again. Shaq Mason, 28 years old, so he's the same age as Marpet. It's like you literally did not lose Marpet.
Right.
It's essentially what you did. And you talked about the running game, how much of an upgrade he's going to be there. When just before they traded for Shaq Mason, Jordan Whitehead came off the board.
Yeah.
And I looked at his contract and I'm like, the Bucs couldn't match that.
What was it?
It was like 2 years, $14 million.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not much for Jordan Whitehead because I thought he was a pretty important piece to the team last year. 30 minutes later, they make the deal for Shaq Mason. The same exact money, by the way, $7.3 million for an all-pro guard, which is
huge.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
I think that's what you have to emphasize on because at safety, it's like you still have Mike Edwards to fall back on if you need to.
Yeah.
That could be one of your needs in the draft. And, there's a certain guy out there in free agency that I think we would love to see come here.
The Honey Badger.
Yeah, that has great ties to Bruce Arians and Jason Licht. So
absolutely.
We'll see on that right now.
Yeah, I think letting Jordan Whitehead go makes me think that they may have had a conversation or two with the Honey Badger. I mean, he's older. I get it now, but those older safeties, if they can stay healthy, can be really, really impactful because it's such a cerebral position and instinctive position that guys like him they're playmakers. They're playmakers. Are a lot like Antoine Winfield, just in an older package. So that would be a hell of a safety tandem right there if you can land that. I said this earlier in the week. I think this Bucs roster can be better than last year's roster. And I don't think there's any question about it now. Russell Gage is an interesting guy. I know the name isn't as big as a lot of you folks think, but this guy, when given an opportunity, I mean, he's been in the shadows of Julio Jones and those for probably for a couple of years now. We didn't know how good this guy was, but when he got his chances last year, he was really, really good. And the Bucs know him tremendously well. I like it when you get a guy from your division. What you're doing is you're talking to Jamal Dean, you're talking to CD3, and you're like, how hard is this guy to guard? Like, who is it? Who gives you fits? And
they know.
Yeah, they know because he's had some success against the Bucs.
Tear the Bucs up the last 2 years.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got speed. He can get deep. I mean, he's not Antonio Brown. We're not saying that, but he's got a lot of attributes that will work in the offense. To stretch the field and to be effective in a downfield passing game. And
he played 70% of his snaps last year in the slot. So if I think that biggest I did. If Godwin's ready to go, which I don't think he will be for week 1. You could plug him right in the slot, and he has a lot of experience there. He can fly. So once Chris Godwin comes back, assumes the slot position, you can put him on the outside. And the improvement there for Russell Gage every single year as a guy coming at LSU, I know this. He only caught like 20 goals at LSU during his career.
Really?
He was drafted on his speed, and he's like he almost reminds me of Cyril Grayson was the same way.
Right.
Obviously, Russell Gage is more accomplished, but he worked on his craft. And last year, I mean, he missed 3 games and had almost 800 yards. I mean, that's a 1,000-yard season right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really, really good receiver. I was a little surprised by the salary of $10 million for. I didn't know the Bucs could afford that. Clearly at the moment they can't, but
what are they?
The restructure,
30 million over the cap.
21 right
21.
Now.
Yeah. And they've restructured Vita Vea. I'm trying to think of who else they restructured. They've got so many moving pieces with the Brady contract now. Before the season started, they were available. I think 67 million were available restructuring. So I think they've probably used by my count probably about 30 million of that. So they still have some wiggle room to go for some other guys and push a lot of stuff down the road, which to me is fine. As long as you have Brady, you keep pushing. The cap's going to explode in the next few years. So that works in your favor. But yeah, as long as you have, and I wonder if Brady had an inkling that Shaq Mason was available, had to, because I just don't see how the Patriots. I mean, that's basically a salary dump.
Is it bring Brady to send a little text message to Shaq Mason?
No, they're friends.
So.
And he was retired.
There you go.
So there you go.
There you go.
And so, yeah, that deal was done behind the scenes. Yeah. But I mean, I just find it odd that the Patriots are doing favors. Seems kind of like
why
a
would
favor.
Bill Belichick be like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna go help out. I'm gonna go help out the guy who. I'm gonna go help out the guy who said he didn't want me anymore.
Because they could have traded him to anybody for a 5th round pick.
Oh yeah,
right.
Okay.
Anybody would have taken that deal.
But you're just making New England South. New England South is keeping on going.
Wow, it's a little.
It's very
a little
odd.
weird,
It's
right?
Very, very odd.
I don't know what's going on there, but I'm no complaints here. So that's what's happening with the Bucs. I today probably going to be more restructured day, but I would say Tyrann Mathieu is on the hit list, and I'm trying to think of what else that would be adding, or whom else they might be adding.
Well, we still got to see what happens with Sue. That's still a big.
Yeah, that's right. Sue's
a big area of need. Still is next to Vita Vea. How can you get Sue for $3 or $4 million?
Yeah, I think that's probably where they're at right now. He's probably like, I'm not sure if I want to play. Kind of depends on the money. Let's see where you guys can go and what you have left over. And if it's something I want to do, I'll do. If not, I'll just retire.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, in the grand scheme of it, it's like a week ago. Hell, on Friday,
we're pulling the ripcord.
We were
to complete rebuild.
A complete rebuild. Blaine Gabbert. I mean, that was a hell of a time, right?
Yeah.
In this world, we were trying to convince ourselves that Blaine Gabbert was the guy.
My God.
I'm so glad that we are past that now. And we don't have to look forward anymore. Now we're like, we turned our attention to the draft, and now we're taken away from it again.
But I always felt that Brady was coming back, but I wasn't sure whether he was going to manipulate his way to San Francisco. Oh, no. And I think I even tweeted it out when I saw Brady at Old Trafford. I was like, if the Glazers just, if Brady sweet talks them into giving him the Glazers to get his release and go to San Francisco, they're doing a disservice to their fans. And I believe that. And little did we know that they were sweetening the pot, perhaps. We will never know that, because I think that's probably some type of I think DeBartolo got in trouble for that way back in the day. I'm not sure, just some what they call extra benefits, and there's a salary cap, so you can't be offering Tom Brady, oh, here's a piece of Man United, in lieu of salary. You can't do that. But you can also say, hey, when you're done, handshake deal. There's nothing wrong with that. And if I were frankly, if I were the Bucs and I were the Glazers, and if they didn't do that, you got to exhaust all opportunities with Tom Brady in this situation. So I think, it's just complete speculation on my part. I think that was something that would be very attractive to Tom Brady, and getting him into that atmosphere of sitting at a Premier League game and seeing. I mean, I've never been to one. I want to go to one. I have an invitation to go to Old Trafford, and I will go. But from all accounts, it's Super Bowl-esque. It's one of the biggest sporting events. The energy level, I mean, just from television, it's incredible. The passion and the money involved in the Premier League. Are you freaking kidding me? And the global branding that goes along with it. It's an unbelievable opportunity, and it's something that Tom Brady wants to be involved in later on in life with Ronaldo, probably. So I don't think there's any question that some of that stuff was on the table, and I think it probably had a big impact. Yeah,
I wish Tom was there yesterday at Old Trafford.
What happened
Good
yesterday?
God.
Ugh. What, Ronaldo didn't score a hat trick this time?
He didn't get a shot on goal.
Yikes.
Nothing. United falls out of the Champions League. The Champions League is like the granddaddy of them all in soccer, and United just bowed out in the round of 16 at home.
That's not a good. That's not a good result.
No, it's not a good result. A bad day on the pitch.
Bad day on the pitch.
I wish Brady was there. I mean, he clearly
he would have made the difference.
They would have been the difference.
Yeah, he's got the horseshoe up his ass. He wins everywhere he goes. Everybody around him wins. So that's probably why they want him to be part of Man United. All right. So any questions or comments you have at the Bucs at FanStream JP, you can jump in there, and you can also comment if you're watching on YouTube. Just subscribe to our JP Peterson Show YouTube page. You can put comments in there. Want to interact with the show? We're trying to get you guys more interactive as our technology picks up. We're going to start taking calls here in the next month or so. So we do at this point just say, hey, get on at FanStream JP, at Nick Geddes News, at the JP Peterson Show. We have a Twitter as well. So do all that stuff, and you can interact with the show. Your thoughts on what the Bucs are doing, what might be their next move, where they look for in the draft right now. I do think running back might be coming into play with them. There really are some good ones out there. Breece Hall from Iowa State is one of the top ranked ones. A guy I really like, Dameon Pierce. I watching him at Florida, I know he ran 4.59, which is not great, but I just love the way that cat runs. He reminds me kind of a little bit of an Emmitt Smith. He's super fast, but he's got really, really good vision, runs hard to tackle, great balance. I just like the way he runs.
I think we were sold on that play where he got his helmet taken off against FSU.
Yeah, I like
and
that
he
one.
said, I'm going to keep going.
I'm going to keep going.
And he could pass block. I think if you look at those guys, if they can't pass block, forget about it.
Yeah.
They're not going down the Rojo route ever again.
Kenneth Walker, 5'10", 210, 4.38 speed. The kid from Michigan State. 3,485 yards rushing in high school. That's a lot of rushing yards, and over 300 yards in a game. A really, really good player, and I just think a dynamic runner for this offense. But I say that, and Fournette was very, very effective. If they bring him back, I like what he brings to the table, and I still think Sneak Vaughn.
Oh, please.
Is good. He's a good player. Yes, he is.
No. And under no scenario can Sneak Vaughn be your third down back this year. Under no scenario.
Well, I expect him to improve in a lot of different areas, and I think he'll be better than a rookie who's just coming into the league.
I disagree.
In pass blocking.
I still disagree. I mean, I'm looking at my guy there, James Cook. If I had next to Dameon Pierce, I think he's like my 1B right there. Those two guys.
4.42. Georgia, great pedigree with his brother. Yeah, I mean, I think Jordan Ford, I think, is interesting too. There's a lot from Cincinnati. There's a lot of really good running backs in this draft that they can get later on in the draft. I'm talking third and fourth round. One of those guys are going to be available.
Oh yeah.
So you'll get your wish, and we'll see who steps up. But I think that becomes a priority. All right, let's move on to the Rays. Did Freddie Freeman sign yesterday? He did not.
No.
But the big suitors went off the board. The Yankees re-signed Rizzo, 2 years, 32. The Cubs get Suzuki at 5 years, $70 million. Schwarber goes to the Phillies. Probably be their DH. So that in Toronto traded for Chapman.
Yes.
So that leaves in the Freddie Freeman sweepstakes really the Rays and the Dodgers, right?
Rays, Dodgers, Padres.
Padres are still in the
and the Sox, I believe, still lingering in there.
Mm-hmm.
The Padres are the newest one.
Yeah.
But that's another team that if you don't want to get into a bidding contest with.
No. And the Padres, that's interesting. If I'm Freddie Freeman and he's from California, LA may be a little bit too big a deal. San Diego is a great place to live. It's my favorite city outside of Tampa Bay in America. I love San Diego, and that park, Petco Park. San Diego is kind of still like the good part of California with not all the crazy of LA and San Francisco. So I think that would be more Atlanta-esque for him, in terms of a living situation. So I think that would probably be a likely destination for him as well. I still don't think the Rays are going to be able to outbid some of these teams when it comes down to it. And I hate to say this, but this is not. When you talk to other major league players, and I ask them about playing at the Trop and what's the perception of playing for the Rays, and the perception around the league is a very, very cheap organization. Agents don't like working with the Rays for not only just because of the overall salary, but a lot of the other outside things. This is what you hear from other players. They hate playing in the Trop. Like the Trop is just, nobody likes playing in the Trop. The outfielders hate it because they have to be on that carpet all the time and it kills their legs. The infielders don't like it. They don't like the roof. They don't like the catwalks. They don't like anything about it. So it's hard. And that's one of the reasons you haven't seen a lot of premium position players come to the Rays as a free agent, because they have choices. Nobody wants to play here. They'll come and play here if they feel like it's the next step. It's like it's a bridge contract to prove themselves again, a Nelly Cruz or somebody else to go on to another team. So that's why I think it's not just the money. It's the organization itself.
And I wonder where Freddie Freeman's head is at right now, because it's a little bit, I don't want to, we're not late in free agency by any means, but he's still the big fish out there. There's a lot of guys come off the board. What does he want, really? I think there's the rumors that he wants the 6th year. And as far as we know, we don't have it in writing as you said you want. But as far as we know, the Rays are the only team that have offered him the 6th year. And that's why I guess what's put him in the running.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the Yankees, kind of odd. They can't throw the money they want at Freddie Freeman. Knowing how the fan base is going to react to that too.
Yeah.
And calling for Cashman's head, they couldn't throw money at him. Toronto kind of bowed out quick. They were in and out of it just like that by getting Chapman. If Freddie Freeman really wanted to go to the Dodgers, I think at this point, I would think he would have wanted to sign. I don't think he wanted to leave Atlanta. And so the selling point there is, which place is closer to Atlanta?
Right.
Do the math. It's Tampa. It's an hour flight?
Yeah.
7-hour drive. Maybe, I don't know, just trying to connect the dots. The Rays to sell everything.
Yes. Have to sell. Yeah. And obviously the contract in California isn't worth nearly what it is in Tampa. But again, there's
and the other thing too, even if it's not Freddie Freeman, because I still think it is, I'll be real. Okay. As much as I hope, I do know it's unrealistic to get Freddie Freeman. Even if you don't get him, I think the Rays have to move. They got to do something, because the Blue Jays have loaded up in this division. They have to be. That's the
other thing you look at right now is look at what everybody else is doing. And we always say that at the beginning of the year. You look at the rosters and you're like, oh my God, look at the Yankees lineup. Look at the Blue Jays lineup. Look, and I think the Blue Jays have been on the come for a while now. They've got with Guerrero and Bichette. They've got so many good young players.
It's the pitching they just added too.
Yeah, that's right.
They added a whole bowl. They have their rotation 1 to 5 might be the best in baseball right now.
Yeah.
Based on paper. So you have them. I know the Yankees, I'm not crazy about the moves they made, but you can argue, I guess, maybe it made them better. Boston's going to be there after last year.
Yep.
So the Rays, I know they're always going to be in the hunt. But again, if you really want to take the next step, and that's what Neander keeps saying, then you need to back that up with a move.
All right. Well, let's listen to a little bit of Neander. He spoke yesterday at spring training as the guys start to come in. Wander Franco was hitting yesterday. It's great to see the video of the guys out there and just, hearing the crack of the bat and all that good stuff. So the general manager, I guess is he the president of whatever the grand poobah of all baseball operations, best way to say it. One of our 3 or 4 general managers, as the players used to like to say, chatted with the media. Let's listen in.
Trying to find a way to take that last step that this organization hasn't found a way to get done. So I think we look back, we won 100 games. We're really proud of that. Disappointed with the ending, but we're really proud of 100 games. A lot of that group has returned. A lot of them were young, gained invaluable experience, and so far what we've seen in camp have every reason to believe that they're on their way up. When we set out to this offseason, there's kind of 2 parts to it. The first part seemed, it's easy to forget about it. It's been a little while, but, we set out and trying to extend Wander was a priority, and Corey Kluber and Brooks Raley were the 2 players that we targeted, and we were able to get them done back in November, which was a big deal to us. So those were, in our opinion, the most acute we had. We satisfied early. This group collectively has raised the bar. The 100 wins that they accomplished last year, it's not by accident. And you have to have a pretty complete team. You have to have a deep team. The bullpen last year, we were 3 lines deep. As the year progressed, a lot of those guys are coming back. And so I think there's a lot of confidence in that group. And if you're looking for ways to improve them, there are only so many open avenues before you're really restricting the opportunities you like to give to the players that are here. So it's a byproduct of the work that these guys have put in. And I think, frankly, just how good they've become, where it limits some of the things you want to do and can do to improve. Trying to.
A lot of blah, blah, blah there. A lot of blah, blah, blah.
A little blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Look, this is the reality of the AL East. You're going to be in a race like this every year, and the Rays have done a tremendous job of staying competitive with the amount of money they choose to spend, the least amount of money that they choose to spend. And listen, we said this last year before the season. You want us to talk about taking that next step. You got to pick up contracts like Charlie Morton. I hate to beat a dead horse, but you could sit there and say that all you want, Eric Neander. Why didn't you do it? I wish somebody would ask that question. Like, why doesn't somebody ask that question? Like this is the question. you talk about taking the next step, Eric. Why didn't you pick up the contract for Charlie Morton last year at $15 million, and then you went and spent $11.5? What is the philosophy behind that, and how do you look at that mistake, a clear mistake, especially when you had to face him in the World Series, and understand that spending more money is the option here, and the fact that your owner is pocketing $60 to $70 million a year in profits? He's always said that he's going to put that back into the team, but that hasn't been the reality. Why is that not a question that's asked?
I think my biggest question that I would ask was, you said that because of the talent you have already accumulated, it makes it hard for you to want to go out and add things without, whatever he phrased it there at the end. I'm sorry, but I don't care that you won 100 games last year. I don't, because you dropped 3 in a row to the Red Sox.
And why did you do that?
Because you didn't have any veteran starting pitching.
Thank you. Yeah, Blake Snell, and people say, people act like Blake Snell was horrible last year. When he got right physically, he was fine, especially towards the end of the year. And who knows what he'd done in a Rays uniform in a familiar place with the same training staff and the same analytics. And then you could have traded him this year.
Well, I told you at the time.
You don't dismantle a team that goes to the World Series.
No,
it's cheap.
Ascending.
You don't dismantle your strategy. They made that mistake last year, and now is a perfect time to ask him, do you regret? You went to the World Series. You had a chance. You could have. You don't think they beat Boston with Blake Snell and Charlie Morton in the rotation? Hell yeah, they do.
They give him a fighter's chance.
By the way, you don't think you beat the Braves if you got to the World Series? Because they wouldn't have Charlie Morton. Of course you do. I mean, that is. And has he ever been called to the carpet on that? Was that your decision, or was that Stu's decision to not pick up the $15 million? Why can't somebody ask that question? Why are these questions never asked? No. Okay. I mean, it's like they can operate like this, and nobody holds their feet to the fire. Why don't you spend 125, 130 million one year? Why don't you stretch the budget?
It literally feels like I'm watching.
And this is, I tell you, this is what's going to be the answer later on down the line. Well, we tried to do that with Freddie Freeman. And I'm like, okay, really? Let me see the contract offer. Yeah. Show it to me.
It's like I'm watching like Moneyball play out in real life. And I know the rate, like you've seen the movie, right?
Of course.
It's like I'm watching that scene where he's like, I just need a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit help.
Just a little bit more.
I mean, good God, if the Rays are winning 100 million,
100 games with
100 games rather,
$75 million payroll or 60, whatever it was last year,
with a rookie rotation, and a host of arms in the bullpen that nobody wanted, some guys in the lineup that nobody wanted, and a 20-year-old named Wander Franco. I mean, just imagine if you just. This
last year was the first year where you could actually look at a guy like that guy, 15 million. Why did you, like, it's so concrete. And it's so, I mean, other years there was more, more wiggle room to say this guy or that guy or this guy. I could have spent money on this guy. But it's the bottom line is when you're continually dealing with inexperienced players, they typically do not perform well in the postseason. Now Rosarena did an unbelievable job. Franco did a nice job. But that's one guy. Rosarena the year before, Wander last year. You got to have experience starting pitching. That's where they don't pay these guys $30 million for regular season wins. They don't. They're paid to be, to line them up in the postseason.
And that's why I keep asking, what's our goal here?
Yeah.
What is the goal?
Well, the goal, he used to say it all the time, meaningful games in September, which means I want to keep people coming to the park and keep the interest. I'm really not all in on winning a championship because that takes another level of financial commitment. And it does.
I understand that. But when I hear Eric Neander say this organization hasn't figured out how to take the next step, I mean, that's an easy question. That's an easy question to answer.
It really is.
And
why isn't somebody there asking that question? Like, here's an idea. Why don't you spend the average payroll 1 year and see what happens, Eric?
Yeah, it's right in front of you.
Right.
It's right in front of you. And we did it.
And then if he comes back with that answer, like, we are a low revenue team, I'll be like, hell, you ain't. By the way, your owner has $500 million in the bank that he's moved to another shell corporation to keep away from his partners, allegedly. I mean, no wonder they won't credential me. They don't want those questions coming up. And why isn't somebody asking those questions? Those are legitimate questions, and they never get asked. Why not? It's crazy. Anyway, so here we sit, waiting for the scraps again, right? as a Rays fan, and I'm just not buying into the we can't. And that's what I think a lot of this Freddie Freeman stuff is about. So they can come back and say we were in on Freddie Freeman. Well, were you really?
And there was I think Buster only wrote a column yesterday and also said the Rays they came at second place in the Matt Olson trades. And I'm like,
don't they always?
You don't get anything for second place. You don't.
You're first loser.
And I saw what the Braves gave up, by the way, for Matt Olson. If the Rays really wanted to, you could have gone into your disposal in the minor leagues and gotten a way better offer. Your farm system's way better than the Braves.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, second place, that just comes to a point where you're just like, no, we can't do this.
You're not getting it done.
Yeah.
And part of not giving up those prospects, you know what that is? That's finances too. Because they know they're going to have to keep their best young players because of finances. Other teams will give up their best prospects to get a proven player. That's what they think their prospects are for. We think our prospects are for making money. You can pay them less and they'll be productive in the big leagues. Yeah.
And you could do the arbitration game until once they hit arbitration, it's like gone.
Right.
The Blake Snell, they gave him the really economical deal. How many years did he last with that deal? One?
Yeah.
1 year, I think.
And get ready for Wander Franco. As soon as that deal starts escalating, out the door.
I'll enjoy him for the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and listen, this is all because of ownership. It's all because of ownership. And that's why I always come back to it. And, and again, I'll just revisit it here real quick. This is an opportunity for Major League Baseball with this lawsuit and now this second lawsuit to make the requisite move. Remove Stu Sternberg. Hashtag remove Stu. Remove Stu, and guess what? You get the Freddie Freemans. You get some of these players. First of all, you get a new stadium so teams want to come play here. He could have done that 3 years ago with the Ybor City plan. They could have made that work like other ownership groups do. He decided not to do it. That would have given them more money to spend with more attendance. Any owner with a freaking brain would love to move their stadium to the middle part of the market where there's 2.1 million people instead of 600,000. It's a no-brainer. And these are all things that the owner is keeping the Rays from doing. And that's why we are so set against removing owners. The three most important things in sports: ownership. It starts at the top, and you see it in every championship franchise. Bad ownership gives you decades of mediocrity. Good ownership takes you to the top. It's championship level. And we just have never had that. And that's why I don't think we'll ever get over the hump with Stu Sternberg as the owner. Then you're seeing it play out right in front of you. This is why. All right. Any other baseball stuff we got to get to? Any other big moves that affect the Rays? I think we covered most of them. All right. Let's hit a break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll do a little Lightning stuff. The Lightning are back at it tonight against the Kraken. Got some John Cooper sound for you. We'll check in with them. They need to get going. It's time for them to start kicking it in. Stay with us. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. March Madness has come to the Gold and Diamond Source. Did you know the Aquamarine is the birthstone of the month? And the Emily collection has some great unique pieces. It's designed to be affordable, unique, stylish gold and diamond jewelry. The Julieve collection is Julie and Steve Weintraub's exclusive, one-of-a-kind, award-winning collection of the world's finest diamonds and rare fine gemstone jewelry. Don't forget, they have 0% financing and the Diamond Savings Account, where your diamond never loses its value. You can upgrade at any time and get 100% of its value towards a new purchase. Do you have any old jewelry, broken jewelry, just lying around? Well, bring it in and get top dollar and get even more value if you use that money to buy something new or just take the cash. Shop local with the folks who support our community in so many charitable endeavors. It's the Golden Diamond Source, just a short 15-minute ride from Tampa, just over the bridge on Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com. The world economy is in chaos and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship is back in March in 2022, March 14th through the 20th, right in the middle of the best weather of the year and the last stop on the Florida swing. The Valspar has become one of the must-do events on the Tampa Bay sports and social calendar, so get your best tickets before they sell out. The game's biggest stars love the Copperhead course in Innisbrook. Last year, we saw Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. Wow, the crowds, and another star-studded field is expected again this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com. Are you selling your home or refinancing? JP here for Greenleaf Title. You choose the title company, not a realtor, and it makes a difference. You want a reputable company that will make sure your title is safe and secure. There are a lot of scammers out there right now. So go with a trusted company like Greenleaf Title. Plus, they will close anywhere, folks, and they will send a limo to pick you up to come to the closing. Yep, the great JP Limo Closing is back. All you got to do is give them a call at 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. We'll set up the limo for you. They'll come pick you up. Heck, we picked up one couple, took them to Black Rock Restaurant, one of our favorite advertisers, and then to the closing. That's how they do it at Greenleaf Title. Great service. Will close anywhere. The lowest fees in the business. 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. That's greenleaftitle.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. You can find him at PalermoPA.com. We're also brought to you by our good friend Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Looks like rates are going to be going up even more now on refinances and mortgages. Still can get really, really good rates right now. If you've been thinking about doing refinancing, Scott Fitzgerald will take care of you at American Mortgage Services. Reach out to him, Scott at amstampa.com, Scott at amstampa.com. amsterdam.com. Just had another listener reach out to him to do a refi the other day. And the reason is because he shops around all the different banks, folks. He will use the power of competition to get you the lowest rate, and he does not charge the big upfront fees like the lenders do. These big banks, folks, you know how they pay for those big buildings and the big lobbies and all? Because they charge you enormous fees for this thing. These brokers like Scott Fitzgerald, they do not do that. And you can get a great loan at a very low cost, and he will do it fast. That's another thing. Banks are so backed up. They take forever. So if you're having trouble with your bank getting your loan done, we had one of our listeners do this a few months ago. They'd been waiting 6 months to get a refi from their own bank. They called Scott, gave him all the information. Within 28 days, he had the loan done at a better rate and much better term than the bank is offering. And what he does, and the other thing he does that you won't find other mortgage brokers doing, he looks at your entire financial picture and says, okay, let's take this loan and pay it off at this interest rate. It'll save you X amount of dollars. Let's take this loan, pay this off. Let's rework this loan and do this. And he'll move all those pieces around. So your monthly payments, your monthly nut comes down way lower at a much lower interest cost. That's what he's looking forward to. And in these times of inflation, you can kind of blunt that inflation if you're being smart with your money. And this is the biggest way you can do it if you have a house and you can refinance and get that money out right now. So take advantage of the market forces and call Scott. Scott at amstampa.com. Best way to get in touch with him. Email him, and you'll be ready to go. Great guy. All right, so the Lightning tonight are in Seattle at my favorite arena, Climate Pledge Arena. See, look at that. Climate Pledge.
That's
Arena.
What they named that thing? Climate Pledge Arena.
It's kind of cool. Look at it.
Is that a company?
Very Seattle, isn't it?
Yeah, it
very
is.
Seattle.
It very is.
What a beautiful city that was. Another one of our major cities that's just been destroyed by the left. God, it's so sad. But there it is. They'll be playing tonight at 10 o'clock. It's on TNT. TNT game tonight. We don't get our regular announcers, so we'll watch Kraken at 18:37-6 go up against the Lightning. Not quite a Las Vegas entry into the NHL for the Kraken.
No. Bottom of the league. Bottom of the league. Poor Yanni suffering there in that team.
Would have been great to get Yanni, wouldn't it? Well, maybe that will happen. Who knows? Maybe we'll bring him home with us. Is that possible? No. Anyway, let's listen to Coach Coop. Talk to the media yesterday. They've had a chance to at least practice a couple times. And on a team that frankly is struggling defensively, they've just been so bad. Their coverage in front of the net is terrible. Too many breakaways, and just not playing the way they need to be playing. And hopefully, Coop has some positive words for us.
When I asked you a month ago about a shutdown line, you said obviously I had one shutdown line that you put out there every time. You said we have a plan in place. We're trying to elevate their game. What did you kind of learn through that this past month with that? I know you tinkered with some guys in different spots, but just
I think we're just learning more about our team. And we're on a tough road trip here in terms of just distance, time zone games. And we're finding out about our guys in a lot of different ways. To have a shutdown line, you have to have guys that are acceptance of their role, know their role, excel at their role. And do we have guys that are trending in that direction? I do believe we have them. But it's just a matter of finding our right fit. And so, but in saying that, again, we're not going to replicate what we had last year, but I think there's going to be some situations that we'll be able to get close. We're just not there yet.
The ideal world is not your.
And I'm not setting if we're fortunate enough to make the playoffs, I'm not setting our playoff lineup on March 15th.
Yeah.
But what we are doing is evaluating guys to see where they're going to be playing come May 1st or whatever.
I guess I'm just saying, the ideal world, wouldn't want to necessarily use the point line as like a matchup line, for example, if you wanted them to kind of create feeds.
Well, every year's different. Since point lines together, you can play against any line in the league. Sometimes I don't want them to. It doesn't mean they can't do it, So I think that's it's not like we're trying to hide anybody.
Yeah.
But how our philosophy and some things, we like to move lines around a bit. And it's if you've got a deep forward group that offers you the ability to move guys around. Like I said, we're still tinkering things now, and now is way too early to start. Like I said, saying, but
Yeah, there's I think they're still trying to position themselves to find the right lines, but they're right now defensively, they're not good enough. They're just not good enough against the good teams. And it's not necessarily pointing the finger at the defenseman. I mean, a lot of this is your forwards coverage, and that has been lacking tremendously. We talked about this the other day. I think I forget which game it was. It might have been Calgary, maybe the game before, where Kucherov was like -4, Stammer was like a -3. Their top guys just have not been able to play that responsible defense that we've seen them play in these runs. And I think quite frankly, the superstars are it's going to be hard for them to do that every single night, and especially when you're going up against these teams that when they see the Lightning coming, they're going to give you their very, very best. And I don't necessarily want Stamkos and Kucherov and Point to be giving me their 100% very, very best right now. I save it for the playoffs. I mean, I hate to say that because you just can't emotionally get up all the time, especially when you won 2 cups and you played 60 more games than most every team you play in the past 2.5 years.
Yeah,
Makes a difference.
I have no problem saying it. You don't need to exhaust yourself now. They've gone down that road before. Go back to 2018, 2019.
Season.
You don't need to have 100 goal differential. I mean, the Lightning right now, their goal differential is 29. I mean, that's 8th in the NHL. That's like their lowest in like the last 6-7 years.
It's not great.
Okay, it's not great. It concerns me a little bit, but like I've been saying, we'll see what happens in April. Let's see what happens when we get closer to playoff time. Right now, they're in arguably their hardest stretch of the season. We had that great stat 2 weeks ago as they were entering this West Coast swing against the Pacific Division that's kind of started to crumble now.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you got a big win over against Vancouver. Now you get the worst team by far on this West Coast swing in Seattle, and you get 2 days off to come back home for a game.
Yeah.
And you got to wake up against a team like New York that's had your number this year so far. So it is a chance to get something going in the right direction. But absolutely, they got to play better defense, and you only have so many days for the trade deadline. Do they make a move? Do they not make a move? I think Brisebois, he's no idiot. He's seeing the defense. They have to get somebody in there, I think.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, this could be a sign that this just isn't as good as last year. And I think,
we expected that.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And, I think they are going to add somebody at the deadline. I think this is going to be a little bit of a different team at the end of the year. And we know they know how to play, like especially the top 6. These are the same guys. They know how to play. And they know when playoff time comes, they'll be ready. I have to be confident in that.
And it's a product of the league, I think, in the Eastern Conference or division. These teams are much better. Florida is much better.
Yeah.
Toronto, we'll see what happens if they choke it away again. They appear to be much
Carolina.
better. Carolina is outstanding. The old guard, as I would say, Pittsburgh, Washington, they're not going away. The Rangers are better. This is a dog. Boston's still there. I think I just named the entire playoffs East.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a murderer's row.
Yeah.
Any one of those teams I could see being your East champion.
And to think the Lightning are going to go through that entire thing again and and then you get to play Colorado or Calgary. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, the chances are they're not winning a 3rd straight cup. They just are. Those are chances.
And it hasn't happened since the 80s Islanders.
And there's a reason for that. So, if they were able to do it again, it would just be way against the odds. But when you look at this team right now, they're not overwhelming. Let's see what this team looks like in about a month and a half. I think it'll be very, very different. And don't forget, this is the longest road trip in the middle of the season. It's just, if there was ever a time for a lull, this was it. And this is the first time they've lost 2 in a row all year, let alone 3 in a row. And so I'm not going to panic. Is this team as good as last year? No, it's not. Can it be at the end of the year? I think it can. No doubt about it. And we don't know what moves are going to be made at the deadline. I mean, we could sit here and say, well, they don't have the cap space, blah, 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 blah. You know, I thought that about the Bucs yesterday, and then they added Shaq Mason and Russell Gage and paid them both handsomely.
They will figure out a way. If there's anything we know about all of our teams here in Tampa Bay, the front office portion has smart people,
Really smart,
at every single level. They'll figure something out. Trust me.
And with Brady back, the golden horseshoe is back in Tampa Bay.
I'm telling you, the shine is back on
the
this
shine
city.
is back.
I swear we were losing it for a little bit.
Now everybody's like on Twitter, like, hey, Brady, call Freddie Freeman, tell him to come. Like, well, I'm like, well, that's stupid. Well, maybe not.
I'm telling you, it's a fascinating question I asked you yesterday.
What?
And I wasn't happy with your answer.
What?
Would you rather have Tom Brady recruit Freddie Freeman to the Rays, or the Bucs do nothing else from here on out in free agency?
See, here's the thing about Freddie Freeman. Even though as much as I love Freddie Freeman, okay, I would rather have a shutdown starter than Freddie Freeman. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. The Rays would be a better team. Like and I mean a top level starter.
Top level starter.
Yeah, it's more important come playoff time.
Well, we had those.
Yeah, we did.
We had two.
Yeah, we did. But that's more important. I think the Rays with their position players right now, I think they can win. You know, their baseline is probably 92 games right now with the position players they have now and the pitching that they have now.
And you got to remember, and I kind of lose sight of this sometimes, Wander Franco is probably on pace to become a top 20
an MVP type character.
Yeah, this year.
And don't forget about Arozarena. He's going to get better. He's the rookie of the year last year. And it feels like he's been around for 5 years.
Yep.
You know, and he's going to get better. We don't know what Josh Lowe can be, you know, and, you know, God forbid Brandon Lau actually do something in the postseason. I mean, we have a bigger war at our second base spot than any team in the league. We've gotten great production in the regular season. I mean, there's some really, really good players on this team, but we can get better. And Freddie Freeman would be a tremendous addition to this team, no doubt about it. But when you look at what else is in the AL East, you know what? Even if we were to get Freddie Freeman, we're just keeping pace at this point, you know? So, yeah, I mean, yeah, call him. But no, I still think that the Bucs are a championship organization. The Rays won't do what's necessary at the trade deadline or other places to get you over the top. So what's the point of getting Freddie Freeman?
I still think it would help.
Of course it would. It would.
Real quick, I just saw Greg just put this tweet out here, and I think Bucs Nation's about to lose it. Could the Bucs tag and trade Chris Godwin? They love him, but they have major cap issues, have oversigned at receiver, and can do a ton of re-signing with the $19 million in cap space he takes up if they can't sign him to a long-term deal. Strong demand for him despite knee injury.
That would shock me.
I mean, if Greg, I don't know if he's probably just putting that out there, you know, just like speculation.
No, he's not a speculator.
Yeah, he's not a speculator.
There's something to that. There's some meat on them bones.
We haven't even talked about that scenario at all. I didn't think that was a scenario, to be honest.
Well, I think the long-term deal is going to give them tremendous cap space. But I mean, it all depends on if his agent is like holding out for some blockbuster deal and that's just going to strap the team financially, then you got to, you know, at some point you got to just kick it down the road.
Well, listen, I mean, we'll blame Jacksonville for that. This is their fault.
Yeah.
This is their fault for giving average receivers $21 million per.
Yeah, you have to, as an organization, you have to react to the market, but you can't overreact to the market because sometimes there's an outlier, like the Julio Jones contract a few years ago, the Matt Ryan contracts, those were outliers. They paid too much for those players. And sometimes you got to just let those contracts go. And,
but do players let those contracts
go?
No,
and agents don't let them, but sometimes the league just says, okay, I hear you, but that was an outlier. That's Atlanta doing Atlanta things. So we're not paying. The rest of the league understands that's too much for that position or whatever. And then the market kind of resets. And so you got to let Jacksonville do stupid Jacksonville things and then let the market reset. But look, we all would hate to lose Godwin and there may be a situation, but if you have an agent, and this is where Godwin has to get involved. The agent works for you, Chris. That extra $2 million a year ain't going to do you much. If you got, if you're getting balls from Jalen Hurts, It's not.
And
you don't want to do that.
And unless, I think Chris has to know too, unless he gets some kind of deal done here, the Bucs are not getting much more done in this free agency window of
Right.
bringing back their guys. He has to sign that long-term deal so that Greenberg and Light can work the magic that they do with the cap. Because with the franchise tag, it's a lot harder.
He just doesn't seem like that guy.
I know he doesn't seem like that guy,
But his agent might be that guy.
His agent might.
Who's his agent?
It's the same one as Mike Williams. I know that, and I remember told you that Mike Williams got $21 million on the market as well.
Yeah,
and you have to
guaranteed what?
Guaranteed $40 million.
That's what Godwin's worth, at least. But if the Bucs aren't offering more than that, if they're offering that, I can't see why he wouldn't take it. Because he made 16 million last year, 17 million about 17 million last year in the franchise tag. So you're looking at, 50, almost 60 million guaranteed over 2 years. I mean, obviously the guaranteed money's work towards the next few years, but that's as much as Julio Jones made.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Like, and Godwin, I mean, I don't know if Brady does this, but because it's kind of taboo to talk about another man's money in this league. But I got to go to him and say, hey, man, come on. I mean, that's a good deal they're offering you. It's not the best deal ever, but it's a damn good deal, and it's guaranteed.
And I came out of retirement.
You got an ACL, bro, and a PCL. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like this, it seems like right now, God. Of course, I don't know what the Bucs now. If the Bucs are lowballing him because he has a knee injury, that's bullshit. But that doesn't seem like something the Bucs would do. That seems like something the Rays would do.
No,
but that's not something the Bucs would do.
And even
that's not their character. No. And I know how much Jason Light loves Chris Godwin, and Arians love they. I mean, come on.
And it's not a scenario like Devontae Adams where he's making it public. I'm not playing under this tag.
Right. Exactly.
As far as we know, there's nothing there from Chris Godwin.
Well, I know that his agents, we played on the tag last year and we did it willingly. Yeah, you did. But you also made $17 million in cash last year. And we're offering you $40 million, probably more than that, guaranteed. So he's making more guaranteed than Julio's contract, which was the bank breaker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And you do, I mean, it sucks, but you do have a major knee injury, and we're committing, for production 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and we don't know if he's going to play again, but he's got to be Chris Godwin. I mean, we're paying you to be Chris Godwin, not Chris Godwin knee injury light. So, there's some risk on the Bucs part here. This seems like there should be a meeting of the minds here.
Yeah, there's just so many moving parts. It's like, because you have so many guys on this roster, majority of them, and it's like we're asking you during your prime,
right,
which is like what, 4 or 5 years at best for some of these guys.
Right.
We're asking you to make sacrifices financially,
in
hopes of winning a Super Bowl. And we can say, oh, well, obviously, but everybody has their own desire to make money in this league. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business about making money. Chris Godwin's had a lot of injuries. He wants the security. And I think even though Chris is not that guy necessarily, it's natural to look at what the other guy got and be like, well, shit, I'm worth that and more.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think you have to do it in context of what the teammates around you are doing. At least I'm not just one of these believers, these Dominic Foxworth believers that get your bag, screw everybody else. Like, that's not in a salary cap league.
I'm not like that. I just think it's a natural inclination of everybody to have a little bit of that in there at some point.
No,
like
Alex,
Alex Kappa. Like, if he wants to go and get 10 year or 40 million over 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and blame him. How dare you not come back to play with Tom Brady?
But it's not like the Bucs were going to match that.
No.
Whereas the Bucs are matching, I would think, just about any offer that is out there for Chris
Godwin. They should.
Yeah.
You have to do. I mean, Jason said you got to do right by the player.
Right.
I mean, you found this guy in the third round, and he's become one of the best 10 receivers in football, in my opinion.
Yeah, you've got more bang for the dollar. So, and you're over. I mean, again, we're looking at 60 million guaranteed plus over 2 years. I mean, that's a lot of freaking money for a receiver. And you put on he's likely to play another 5-6 years at least, right? I mean, he's 25, 26 years old.
Yeah.
So he's likely to play. He's going to make close to, on this contract, if he plays out this whole contract, he's probably going to make close to 80, 90 million in his career. That ought to be enough. I mean, that ought to be enough for whatever your plans are in life. That ought to be enough. And of course, if you're a receiver, do you really want to go play with a Jalen Hurts or some other slapdick quarterback. Sorry, Jalen, compared to Tom Brady. That's not going to be able to get you the ball, and you're going to be frustrated, and you're going to be losing. I mean, he's a competitive guy. I think that's important to him.
Yeah, and he to me, he's the most important part of the offense, not Nate Brady. And Tristan Wirfs, probably.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Tom Brady Sr. said some things about Brady's retirement that kind of cleared up the outside forces deal. It wasn't Giselle, by the way. And I love something that old Mad Dog Russo just said on ESPN. And I'm hearing a lot of this, especially from the guys on ESPN. And I think it's great for the Bucs. I mean, great for the Bucs. So we'll talk about that when we come back. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock.
This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back. We're coming to you live 10 to 12 each and every day. Remember to subscribe on our YouTube channel, please, if you would. And you can watch us there anytime. Also, our website, FanStreamSports.com, always has some great stuff up there and always has all the shows you can access and all the other interviews that you may have missed. So check that out as well. You can interact with the show at FanStreamJP on Twitter, at Mick Geddes News, and at the JP Peterson Show. So we'll read comments as well. We are also brought to you in our second hour by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. If you're looking for a new primary care physician, Christopher Lugo is the man for you. He does things differently. He will spend an hour with you in your first visit, and subsequent visits takes if you need so. You don't have to stay that long if you don't want to. But it's not this doctor comes in, looks at the computer, types in a few things, sends you a script, and you barely get to look him in the eye. And then you leave there going, man, there's like 6 things I wanted to tell him that I didn't get to tell him. Doesn't work that way at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. So go to their website, BAMMC.com, and make a change and get back into the best health of your life at BAMMC.com. All right. I want to get into a couple comments. Oh, first and foremost, we were talking about the Godwin thing. I want to clear this up. That Greg Allman tweet that you just read about a possible sign and trade. My sense is that there's some issues now in the negotiations for the long-term deal, right? And I think the Bucs know that Godwin wants to be here. And this is just me. This is not, I'm not getting any inside information. This is reading just kind of what's going on. Because the teams will send out things in the media and to get things out in there that so the player makes sure that the player knows it, make sure that the agent knows it, make sure everybody knows it. And I think and this could be something like that. Not saying that Greg is being manipulated in any way. It's just like this is how these things happen. And maybe the Bucs are putting it out there that they're, we can't really afford him now with what we've done. So it's a sign and trade. And now Godwin's going, oh, crap. So they're serious about they could trade me to wherever. I don't have a no trade. They could send me to freaking Cleveland. I could have to play with Baker Mayfield or some shiz. I don't want any part of that. Don't sign the damn deal. I think that could be very much part of it. Yeah. The games are played this way.
Yeah, it definitely would be. But it's a scenario that I like to think it's not going to be likely. I like to think.
Well, I mean, there's
clearly there's been something wrong with these negotiations. They had a long time to work out this negotiation.
Last year they wanted to get a long-term deal done.
It was kind of alarming that when franchise tag day came last week that they got nothing done. It was kind of very odd.
I mean, and this to me stinks to high heaven of an agent. This stinks to high heaven of an agent has a premier player like Godwin. Doesn't, he got a great deal from Mike Williams, probably got him overpaid, and now he wants to do the same thing with Godwin. They don't care. These agents don't care about the team. They don't give a shit about the team. All they care about is getting the biggest dollar for their client. And I get that. But sometimes that's not the client's top priority. And they don't necessarily represent what the client is thinking. So I think this is a way of not only the Buccaneers, but just to get it out there in the space to Chris Godwin was, man, do you really want to go play somewhere else? Do you not want to play with Tom Brady? Do you not want to play in this offense where we make you a priority? Right now, I mean, and this is, again, we're not negotiations, don't know what the offers are. So, but I just can't imagine that the Bucs are lowballing him in this situation. And to me, it seems like the agent is trying to extract too much and might get his client freaking traded at this point. And that's not what Chris Godwin wants.
Yeah,
no way.
I was looking here too. I think his agency happens to be with CAA, and they have a few players that were represented by CAA, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, all the guys who got out enormous contracts.
That's very interesting. That's really, really interesting. Yeah, that backs up exactly what I'm saying. And what did those contracts do? They crushed the Falcons. They crushed the Falcons.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin, and this, I'm telling you, this is what's going on. Is the Bucs looking at Chris Godwin or looking at CA, and Chris may not be talking to Jason Light face to face. And this is what's happening. And I'm sure his agency's going, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. We're going to get this deal done. And they may try to force their hand, but it may not end up like God. It's exactly what this is about. I'm telling you. They're trying to get the message to Chris Godwin. They're like, man, listen, we want you, but we're not going to crush our team. You're going to be the guy that makes the whole salary cap thing go out of whack. We can't do it. And I think that the agency's like, look, they're not going to be able to get anybody else done. Not going to get anybody else under the cap unless they give you this, unless you do this deal. And so they feel like they have leverage right now. Yeah. CAA feels like they have leverage right now. The Bucs are going to have to give you a long-term deal. They're going to give us what they want because they're not going to get enough salary cap relief if they put you on the franchise tag. So they feel they have them over the barrel. They're negotiating well, but this is not what's in the best interest of the player or the team, in my opinion. And Godwin has to realize that. $6 or $7 million, $8 million less over the term of this contract is not going to be as important as going to play with Baker Mayfield or Jalen Hurts. You don't want that, bro. You don't want that. All right. Tom Brady Sr. went on the podcast with Mike Greenberg and said the media forced his son's hand and that the future Hall of Fame quarterback prematurely said he would not return for his 23rd year. Quote, they were announcing his retirement before he even retired, said Senior. The media made news. He was not ready to make any decision and didn't make any decision. But Schefter and Darlington stated it as fact. He hadn't made any decision on that. They had all agreed that this is the path forward that works best for the Brady family. Senior, he is happy as can be. It just took a little bit of time to sort this thing out. I mean, he's kind of in uncharted territory, so people might seem to think he took a misstep. Hey, welcome to our world. Not very many people get to make the decision at 44 years of age and going on 45. Brady Sr. said, nothing replaces the joy that he gets on the 100-yard football field. Shot to Giselle and the kids. This is why I said he wasn't done. There was so much information out there that we just told you. Again, don't look at what people say. Look at what they do. What has he done all his life? How has he behaved? He's all about being competitive. He's not going to quit when he's at the top of his game. It's just not going to happen. And I just saw Mad Dog Russo in our break saying Brady's making a mistake. He's making a mistake. He's coming back. The offensive line is a disaster. It's not a disaster. They just got Shaq Mason. They got Aaron Stinney. They got two best tackle tandem in the league. They got the center back.
He said, "What if the Bucs go 7-10?
What if the Bucs go 7-10? They look like a disaster." No, come on, Brady goes even against this schedule. Not going 7-10.
Let me break it down.
Not if Brady stays healthy.
If you
but keep doubting him. Y'all just keep doubting Brady. Everybody. I heard. Was it Ninkovich the other day? It's like it's not going to be as good as you think it's going to be. I think this is a mistake. Yeah, y'all keep talking like that.
I don't understand. The guy, quote unquote, retired, whatever, for 40 days. Yeah. Did his arm fall off? Is it dead? Because last time I saw him, he was
getting soft. You saw him the other day. Put on like 20.
Apparently.
He's not drinking the water jug anymore. No.
Guy finished second in the MVP voting, for crying out loud. Second. What are y'all talking about? And
led the league in touchdown passes. Led the league in passing yards.
You know who's scared shitless at his return? The rest of the division.
Of course.
Because they're all playing Ring Around the Rosie for Deshaun Watson.
And it's actually good because whatever team gets Deshaun Watson is going to mortgage their entire future and probably their present as well. They're going to have to give up draft picks that they need, players that they already have. They'll probably be a worse team. And then, it's kind of like Deshaun Watson. I love him as a football player. But what Scott Reynolds said yesterday is real stuff.
I used to say that. You don't win 4 games. If you're so great at quarterback, I don't care what the roster looks like. 4 games?
Yeah. 4-12, you have great stats. But if you're winning 4 games, you're not making a lot of plays at the end of the game to win the game. Of course, their coaching staff wasn't very good either. But
I get it.
But I think the world of Deshaun Watson. I always have, and even this thing that happened the other day. Look, there were criminal counts. The grand jury said there's nothing here. I mean, I think we've kind of glossed over that. And everybody said, well, there's 22 civil suits. Anybody can bring a civil suit. Anybody can bring a civil suit. Yeah, and all from the same attorney who happens to be neighbors with the owners. So if there's nothing criminal that happened here, and there's a bunch of civil suits from women who may have had consensual sex with Deshaun Watson, I don't want to downplay, but I guess I kind of am. But we just don't know what happened. But if there's nothing criminal here, and they've investigated it for freaking 2 years, then why should we, anyway. But so I think from that standpoint, Deshaun Watson should at least be able to play in this league and continue his career. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm just saying that the Saints, the Falcons, those teams weren't in the running for Deshaun until Brady came back.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely
that tells you right there all you need to know. Right.
And what are they going to have to give up to get him?
A hell of a lot.
Yeah, 3 first-round picks and a couple of really good players.
Yeah, the Saints are literally having to cut so much salary and restructure so much only to add a $40 million salary.
Yeah,
and give up your draft picks, and you probably still aren't as good as the Bucs.
Right.
Just think about that.
Yeah, and going forward, it's going to be hard for them to be good. With losing all that draft capital. It can be done. It can be done in this day and age, getting free agents. We've seen, it's kind of the way things are going, and you do need to have a quarterback. So I think, are they better this year with Deshaun Watson than without him? Absolutely they are. Are they more formidable? Absolutely they are. But going forward, it's going to be very hard for them to stay competitive. Whereas the Bucs get Brady back and they don't have to give up shiz. Yeah. That's pretty good. So, and in the week's time, boy, things have really changed dramatically for you Buccaneer fans.
I hope you're getting a great visual right here, by the way, of what you're supposed to be doing today.
Well, I can do that.
Yeah.
The Steve Austin.
I didn't even say it. Do you know what Austin 316 means?
No.
I just whipped your ass.
I just whooped your ass?
Yeah, that's what Austin 3:16 means.
What's the 3:16? Isn't that the Bible verse?
The whole promo was
John
you could talk
3:16?
about your Psalms and your John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. That was a promo that he cut on somebody.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of blasphemous.
It's wrestling.
There's no God in wrestling? Is that what you're saying?
God and
No,
God
there is
and
no.
wrestling do not mix. They do not mix.
I think that's apparent. All right, quick break. When we come back, Leo Haggerty's going to join us. We'll get his take on all the shenanigans going on with the Buccaneers and what he thinks is going to happen in this near future. So Leo Haggerty, former scout coach, will join us next. Stay with us. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship is back in March in 2022, March 14th through the 20th, right in the middle of the best weather of the year and the last stop on the Florida swing. The Valspar has become one of the must-do events on the Tampa Bay sports and social calendar, so get your best tickets before they sell out. The game's biggest stars love the Copperhead course in Innisbrook. Last year, we saw Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. Wow, the crowds, and another star-studded field is expected again this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities, including Chameleon. Don't forget, they have 0% financing and the Diamond Savings Account, where your diamond never loses its value. You can upgrade it anytime and get 100% of its value towards a new purchase. Do you have any old jewelry, broken jewelry, just lying around? Well, bring it in and get top dollar and get even more value if you use that money to buy something new or just take the cash. Shop local with the folks who support our community in so many charitable endeavors. It's the Golden Diamond Source, just a short 15-minute ride from Tampa, just over the bridge on Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
It's the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center in our second hour. We appreciate you guys joining us each and every day. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube page. Watch our show every day. We're bringing it to you. The best guest, Leo Haggerty, joins us next. Former scout, former coach. Amped Up Sports is where you're riding now. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Where can we find, what is Amped Up Sports? Tell us all about it. Where can we find this? What's going on?
Go to Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and you Amp Sports right there, and we post daily. JP, we had our photographers down at LSU for the LSU Utah gymnastics meet. Phenomenal pictures. We also had our photographers at the SEC tournament.
Yes.
Posted 167 shots of the Tennessee Kentucky game, and he's going to post the Tennessee A&M game today. So,
Hey, what was that vibe all about? I did not get to do the SEC tournament. You were there. I saw you courtside. What was that vibe all about? Pretty packed house, huh?
Yeah, I tell you what, when Kentucky played, it was a sea of blue.
Yeah.
No doubt. They followed them. And I asked Rick Barnes after the Kentucky game, and I said, you expended a lot of emotional capital. How do you get those guys back? He said one of his assistants found a clip of Kobe Bryant. And one of the reporters asked, Kobe, you're not happy. He goes, we're not done. We got unfinished business. And boy, that definitely resonated with his team. So I'll tell you what, there's three teams coming out of there, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And don't count out Arkansas. They can make deep runs in this tournament.
Yeah, the SEC is, they're just, it just means more, right? Basketball, football, whatever, they're such a sports-centric conference. I used to just revile the SEC, when the ACC was actually competitive with them. And it's more respect now. It's just it does mean more. They're committed in ways that other conferences aren't, and you can see it by the way the coaches that they get and the programs that they put together. So much respect. ACC needs to catch up, but I don't know if anybody ever will. All right, so lots going on with your Buccaneers. I got to say this move to get Shaq Mason is phenomenal. I actually watched him play, and when I was in Atlanta for a couple of years, when he was at Georgia Tech, and I was flabbergasted that he didn't go in the first couple rounds. I think he's a dominant blocker in so many ways, and I think it may even be an upgrade on Ali Marpet, believe it or not.
Yeah, and JP, as soon as 12 decide to come back, you need to start filling pieces in front of them, because you got to protect your most important asset.
Yep.
Brian Jensen came back great. They signed Stinney, who is comparable. He's a good fill-in.
Yep.
But Shaq Mason, that's amazing. That's a guy who's still got a lot of tread left on the tire. And believe me, he's not just a road grader; he's a pass blocker.
Yeah, I love his tape. I love his attitude. He's a mauler. It's just I think, and to get him for a 5th round pick, my God, I mean, you're getting a guy that's way better than any guard in this draft that you would have taken with a 1st rounder. I mean, way better. And you get him for a 5th round pick. I mean, that's insane. Like, why did the Patriots do that?
And you know what, JP? That's the question I'm asking, because the Patriots usually give away people right before they're ready to go south.
Yep.
And again, we don't know what's going on, but Belichick and the crew up there have always one step ahead of the curve when it comes to that. But which I think they thought with Brady. I think they thought he was on the downside.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
Maybe they're slipping a little bit up there. And
I think they are.
It's only. Yeah, it's definitely a plus for the Buccaneers, because not only do you have, the mean ginger in the middle in Jensen, but this guy coming in too, he's put prisoners on Sunday.
Yeah, I love it. And I like Stinney. I think he's a good pro. And as Jensen said yesterday, his press conference, there was no drop off when Kappa went down in the playoffs. So, I think they're, I was watching ESPN Mad Dog Russo saying that the Bucs offensive line is a mess. Clearly he's not paying attention, that they got Shaq Mason, and I'm sure he doesn't know who the hell Aaron Stinney is. And they're probably going to draft a guard too in a really good guard draft. So I think they bolster the offensive line. They have depth. They still have Hainsey, who they really, really like. So I think they're in great position in the offensive line. And they add Russell Gage as well. Tell me what you think about him.
A great receiver. And again, the thing you got to understand coming in as a receiver with the Bucs is you're going to be the 3rd guy. And again, unless Godwin does not recover from his injury, you got Evans, you got Godwin at 1 and 1A. So you're going to be the 3rd option. And again, if you can handle that mentally, that's a good fit. Gage is going to end up with, 50, 60 receptions, which is great. And again, he doesn't have a ring. He wants to come and play for a team that can get him a ring.
I think it's interesting, the signing of Gage and as much money as they gave him. And, Greg Auman just put out a tweet that there may be a sign and trade now for Godwin because they won't be able to fit him under the cap. And my sense is, and we just talked about this, I don't know if you heard of it, CAA is his agency. They're the agency that got Matt Ryan that huge contract in Atlanta that crippled the Falcons, the huge contract for Julio Jones that crippled the Falcons. And Bucs are not going to give in to their demands and cripple this franchise. And if they have to sign and trade Godwin, maybe they have to do that. I think they're sending a message to Godwin right now through the media. You want to play for Tom Brady with Tom Brady, or you want to go play with Baker Mayfield or Jalen Hurts or Mitch Trubisky? Because, if you want to play here, you're going to have to take a little bit less than maybe your agency is trying to strap this team with. What do you think?
JP, that will have worked wonderfully if there isn't a ring on his finger right now. I think that's the same thing with Jerome Whitehead. We got a ring. Okay, great. Now you're going to pay me, or I'm going to move. And again, I don't know what I'm afraid of is when you franchise somebody, they can sit out those first 6 weeks, 6 games, and come back in and get a full year credit. that's a problem. I mean, Devontae Adams has mentioned that up in Green Bay. And again, if you can't fit him under the cap, yeah, sign and trade. That's fine. But again, know what you got, know what you're doing. And again, I'd hate to see Chris Godwin go because he's a huge part of this offense. And JP, it may happen just because of the way that the cap's set up.
Yeah, I think he's making a tremendous mistake. I really do. Anytime these players chase the money, it rarely works out well for them in terms of their overall career. But, that's up to him. That's his life. So we'll figure it. And by the way, we're speculating on a lot of this stuff. We don't know what the Bucs are offering. I think it would be very unlikely that they're lowballing him, right? I don't think the Bucs would do that. They just, as much as they love him and they value him, they wouldn't be doing that. So to me, I think it's just his agency trying to break the bank, but we'll see how it figures out. And they signed Brashad Perriman, so that's another nice depth piece. They lose Jordan Whitehead. Do you think the Honey Badger could be in the offing here for the Bucs?
Yeah, that'd be a great fit back there. What you're looking at, JP, with that secondary is you got Winfield back there. You re-signed Davis, so you got two big pieces. Now you got to figure out what to do at safety. And again, the Bucs are a little bit cap strapped. They're going to have to get somebody to come in and backload that contract a little bit, and which is what normally teams do anyway. But if you get somebody in that $8, $9, $10 million range, in a 2-year deal with, the minimum the first year, and then we'll deal with the second year. That would make sense financially for the Bucs. And again, coming back really brings everybody back into the scheme.
No question about it. Leo Haggerty joining us here, former NFL scout. Amp Sports is where you can find all of his content. The run game is something that Clyde Christensen, in today's article, Rick Stroud's article, where Clyde Christensen talked about this is where Brady thinks we can get better in the run game. And I think he's absolutely right. I don't even think Brady wants to throw the ball 740 times like he did last year. I think he would love to see some more balance in this offense. I think Shaq Mason, as much as we love Ali Marpet, Shaq Mason might help your run game a little bit. But they got to get Fournette back and commit to the run and just be better in the running game. Would you agree?
JP, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
When this team, and again, they got away with it for 2 years. They set up the run with the pass. They don't do it the other way, set up the pass with the run. They are more committed to throwing the football. And again, when you got Brady, that makes sense. But you can't throw it 35, 40 times a game and expect to win every single game. I would really like to see them get down into that low 30 area, 31, 32, and commit to the run, which is basically, running it 20, 25 times a game. That'll give you a nice 60, 65 possession game. And what it does, it keeps your defense off the field and it runs the clock. That's the biggest thing is the Bucs got to find a way to protect that defense. The best way to protect the defense is to run the football and see that clock run.
Yeah, and I think Brady knows that. I think Arians even knows that. They've just got to be more, because when you go back and look at the Saints game when they get shut out, you go back and look at the first 3 quarters of the Rams game. They didn't, when you shut down their passing game and you get some heat on Brady, you got to be able to come back with you got to have an answer. And the answer to that is, slowing down a pass rush. And if they're going playing tough man to man, is they probably have a light box. You got to be able to run the freaking football. And the Bucs, I don't think they were able to do that at times. And something that they definitely need to address. And frankly, I'd like to go ahead.
Yeah, and what, JP, every team in the league is going to get that Rams video, and they're going to see that what they did was they rushed hard off the edge, made Brady step up instead of step back, and now if you can get a push up the middle, it becomes a problem to throw. But what it also does, it creates those running lanes right off the tackle.
Yep.
Because these kids are out in the ghost 9 coming. There's a gap. Just run at it.
Yeah. And that it's kind of strange that the Bucs didn't do that. Of course, they got so far behind again. The Rams, maybe they just didn't feel like they could. But They did one time, and what did Fournette do? He bounced it outside and scored. So, yeah, we'll see what their answer is, but they'll have an answer, no doubt about it. What do you think happens in the rest of the division here? Who do you think gets Deshaun Watson, and how does that trade affect the balance of power in the NFC South?
Sadly, JP, I think he's going to end up in New Orleans. I tell you what, Atlanta's jumping into this late. But again, that's home for him. I don't know how you're going to be able to make that trade unless you can trade Matt Ryan to the Texans along with draft picks, and he goes there. But I think he's going to end up in New Orleans. And believe me, now all of a sudden it's a rat race going to the top. Right now it's the Bucs, simply because when you look at the quarterbacks around the league, I mean, Carolina and New Orleans are destitute when it comes to quarterback play. Matt Ryan still has a little tire, but I don't know how much. And Brady with that offense, you're looking at a team right now who's the top of the NFC South. If Deshaun Watson goes to New Orleans, it becomes an even fight.
Well, there's one thing about New Orleans, though. If he goes to New Orleans, you're going to see a couple of good players go back to the Texans, because I think that's what the price is. It's 3 number ones and a couple of players. So who are those players that the Saints are going to have to give up? Is it Alvin Kamara? Is it Michael Thomas? Like, who is it? And I think there's going to be a significant loss. So whoever picks him up, just like if it was going to be the Bucs, they were going to have to give up some assets. And is your team going to be better overall? I think it will be, because Deshaun's that good. But it's going to be, you get a couple of injuries, you're losing depth, and as far as the future goes, you're putting that in peril as well. So that's the chance you take when you go and get a number one quarterback. But we'll see how that plays out.
And
go ahead.
And you know what, JP? Look what the Rams did last year. They got rid of Jared Goff. They rolled the dice, brought in Matthew Stafford,
That's right.
Won the Super Bowl. This is a copycat league. It always has been. It always will be. Get yourself a genuine quarterback who can get you to the promised land, and then let the chips fall where they may.
I was talking about this yesterday, and since you're a longtime coach and scout, an NFL aficionado, you remember the days when running backs were important in this league. When we had the Earl Campbells and the Walter Paytons, and I go back to the Larry Zonkas of the world, and the running game was important. Now, I know the modern game is different. It's pass oriented. I don't necessarily think that's great for the league, because we become too quarterback dependent. This league, if you don't have a quarterback, you got no shot. And there was a day when you had a Trent Dilfer, you could win a Super Bowl. I hate to say this about Brad Johnson, because he's my man, but he was not considered an upper echelon quarterback, even though I think he was pretty damn good. But I don't think you can do that these days. I think it's too hard. And I don't think that's necessarily good for the league, because we've de-emphasized running the football. We've de-emphasized great running backs. It's like now if you don't have a quarterback, you got no shot. Is there some way? I mean, all these rule changes have gone in favor of opening up the offenses for passing. It's almost like, why even run the football anymore? It's too easy to pass. I don't think I necessarily like a league like that. Am I wrong?
Oh, JP, you're right on it. And again, I'll go back to when Mike Ditka traded his entire draft day for Ricky Williams. So, yeah, the running game was important back then. The problem is right now, it is so much easier to pass the football with the rules that they have. That and again, I'm going to go back to what Greg Cosell told me. And he said, everybody talks about a quarterback. He just has to manage the game. No, he's got to make plays. He's got to make plays,
in this league,
and you got to find that guy. And again, does it have to be a Tom Brady? No, but it's pretty much going to have to be a higher echelon quarterback. I mean, look at what's happened the last 2 years. You got Tom Brady, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Matthew Stafford, and all of a sudden you got Buffalo just knocking on the door 2 times in a row with Allen up there. Yeah, they are definitely quarterbacks that you want to have. And can you win with a guy, let's say Dak Prescott or Baker Mayfield? Boy, they better make some plays, and they better make them quick.
But is there any way, like, how would you, if I said to you, all right, we got to make running football more important in this league, how would you go about doing that in terms of rule changes, or anything? How would you go about doing it? Think outside the box. And maybe it is something like they're doing in baseball where you can't shift anymore. So maybe you have an area that you can only have 6 in the box. Like, I don't know. I'm throwing stuff out here. I was even toying with the idea of you have to have a minimum number of rushing plays in a game. Like, you got to get to 25. So everybody has to run, something crazy like that. But how would you legislate trying to get running the football back in the game and make running backs and the whole run game more important? Is there any way to do it?
Two things, JP. The first thing, I would go back to the rule where the offensive lineman cannot go downfield. Now they can go downfield a yard. Now, everybody says, well, that shouldn't matter. Oh, yeah, those RPOs now come into play. In fact, the Eagles won a Super Bowl.
That's right.
Running all RPOs.
Yeah.
Because those linemen could go downfield, and it forces the linebackers to sit. If the linebackers all of a sudden see a guy take one step forward, now they know it's a run. So, again, that's one thing I do. The second thing I do, JP, I'm going to let these guys contact more than 5 yards down the field. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, when you go back to when you and I were growing up watching football, if you went over the middle, you better be looking for that middle linebacker because Dick Buck is waiting for you.
That's right.
you not for the faint of heart. That would change a whole lot of things. Also, the third thing I would do, tell that quarterback, once he gets over the line of scrimmage, he can't slide. He's a running back. That'll stop that whole thing right now.
Yeah.
Where you gotta slide because you're going to get hit, and now you'll stay in the pocket.
Or get rid of the ball before you get to
absolutely
before you get to
before you get that on.
And of course
that's my 3 thoughts.
That's a good. I like all those things, and of course everybody's gonna say, well, that's not safety, just safety in the game. And I get the safety in the game, but people don't. You'll adjust. Teams will adjust if they understand that it's different now. They will adjust, and I agree with you. I just think it's too easy to pass in this league, and it's taken the running game out of the whole mix. So it's probably hard to put the genie back, back in the bottle. But I kind of miss the days when running backs were important. Great running backs were part of this game. I really do.
Well, you know what, JP, keep an eye on Indianapolis because with Jonathan Taylor, they may set the stage with how to use that really great running back and then incorporate your passing game behind that.
Right.
Because I'll tell you what, I was so hoping that Jonathan Taylor was coming here because I saw a guy in Wisconsin that just, hey, this guy is special. And, when you get a running back like that, that's special and he can stay healthy. And that's why running back now, not a premium because they just take so much of eating during the year that shelf life goes down maybe 2 and 3 years. But, JP, I'm the same way. Let's say, offense tickets, defense wins games, but that running game shows up everywhere.
Yeah, it's becoming too much flag football for me. I appreciate the run game and the beauty of a well-blocked play. And this kind of the symphony of it and how everything comes together, and you get that crease and the running backs out the gate. It's like that's beautiful to me. People, this young generation, I blame them. The video game generation, they want everything's got to be a long bomb. It's got to be you got to drop back and throw the football. There's some beauty. There's some beauty and just elegance to a power running game. But look, the Titans have done it, and they're knocking on the door, but they can't bust it in. And look what happened. Derrick Henry gets hurt. The Colts have tried it, and just hasn't been able to put him over the top. So it's just right now, it's just a passing league. So that's the way it's going to be. I think.
Yeah, and we got to live with it, right, JP?
That's right. Those old people just got to suck it up, Buttercup, and enjoy your flag football. All right, my friend, tell the folks how they can get your content once again.
Again, we're posting daily on Amped Up Sports. Go to Facebook, type in Amped Up Sports, and what we have happening right now. And JP, I got to throw this out. If you get a chance to go to a USF softball game, Georgina Korick is 17-0, hasn't given up a run in 6 games. This girl is for real. She was the National Division I Pitcher of the Week. She's been the AAC Pitcher of the Week, all 5. She's phenomenal, and she's fun to watch. She's worth the price of admission going up to see her.
I might just do that. I need to get out to USF. I need to take in some of the baseball. I think baseball, softball, they've some great programs out there, and I really do enjoy watching women's softball. I mean, it's a fast game, very, very talented, and watching the best do it in any sport is always a treat. So I might just take you up on that. That's a great idea. There you go.
Let me know when you're going, and we'll go
Let's
out there and then go out for a little adult beverage and some wings. How's that sound?
Sounds good. They sell beer at the game. Can I drink beer and wine?
No, I can't do it on campus. That's a shame. But there's a spot right off of campus we can find.
How silly is that? Thanks, Leo. Appreciate it. We'll chat with you
brother.
next week. Yeah. Speaking of silly, when we come back, finally, this dumbass, ridiculous vaccine mandates that still exist in New York are paying dividends for the Rays. We got to talk about this next. This is so good. Stay with us. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship is back in March in 2022, March 14th through the 20th, right in the middle of the best weather of the year and the last stop on the Florida swing. The Valspar has become one of the must-do events on the Tampa Bay sports and social calendar, so get your best tickets before they sell out. The game's biggest stars love the Copperhead course in Innisbrook. Last year, we saw Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth wow the crowds, and another star-studded field is expected again this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. In our second hour, looking for a new primary care doctor, Christopher Lugo, who we had on the show last week. Very, very informative. Go check out that interview. Definitely want him to be a primary care physician. Very forward-thinking man. All right, BAMMC.com is how you can get in touch with them, BAMMC.com. All right, so if you haven't seen this is bananas. It's crazy. The Mets and the Yankees players are not going to be able to play home games, just like Kyrie Irving, if they are not vaccinated. And Aaron Judge yesterday, of course, was asked whether he is vaccinated. I tell you, I've had a couple Major League Baseball players reach out to me because they listened to the show and they heard some of the information we've talked about vaccines. And I'm going to give you some critical information here in a little bit. And here's Aaron Judge, by the way, was asked yesterday, and you can see how this is headed for the Kyrie realm.
You know, it's a sensitive subject, but you're just concerned about players being able to play in New York without.
Question is about sensitive subject, asking about his vaccine status.
I'm so focused on just getting the first game of spring training, so I think we'll cross that bridge whenever the time comes. But right now, like, so many things could change, so I'm not really too worried about that right now.
All right.
Basically said, I'm worried about the first game. A lot of things can change, so until we have to cross that bridge, we're not going to talk about it. So clearly, if he was vaccinated, he would have just said he's vaccinated. So he's not. I just can't imagine where we're at right now with COVID that you would be forcing young, healthy men to take this vaccine. That's just still there are a lot of issues with the vaccine. And I'm just quoting from the VAERS system here. And this is not misinformation. So anybody wants to censor me out there, I'm just quoting from the VAERS, which is this is where people are voluntarily report issues with the vaccine. Okay. And remember, his risk rate probably there's a 95% chance that he's already had COVID and he has natural immunity. So we know right now the natural immunity is better than the vaccine. That is a proven scientific fact. Okay. Now, myocarditis and pericarditis. I'm showing Nick this graphic right here. These are the vaccine reported pericarditis and myocarditis up to 2020. You see that? They're little red blips that you can't even see. And then it goes up in 2021 to almost 25,000. And so far in the first 3 months of 2022, it's already past 10,000. These are people reporting myocarditis. This is the inflammation of the heart. And a lot of this is in young men. There's tons of data that show that with this vaccine, there is tremendous increase, up 47% already in the first 2 months of 2021. So what you're asking, you're not asking. You're forcing these healthy young men who have almost zero risk from getting COVID. Why? We know that vaccinated people also spread COVID. So what is the scientific reason behind forcing these young, healthy men to take this vaccine and give them a 47% chance of getting myocarditis? Better, actually, the number is much higher than that percentage to get over just baseline. That's crazy.
This case in particular is just theater. This is textbook theater. Textbook. Like if you want to use the Kyrie Irving thing, you want to make the argument, even though I still don't get it at this point of where we are with COVID, the progress we've made. If you still want to use the argument, they're playing an inside sport. Okay, whatever. They're playing outside in the most socially distanced sport I think there is.
Yeah.
Outside.
Yeah.
At this point, everybody's like saying, well, this is the Yankees, the Mets players, because I know they had low vaccination rates last year or whatever, the Mets and the Yankees did. And Judge is like the most prominent member that's not. It just, the sense doesn't make any sense. We played a whole season last year where there was no vaccine requirement. Why are we doing one this year? I understand the Yankees had some outbreaks last year.
And you're acting like there's no risk.
But
there's tremendous risk.
The science, I mean, you keep telling me the science has changed. Yeah, the science has changed the other way,
right,
from what you originally thought.
Right.
That's just my take on it. And a lot of people are turning on Aaron Judge. Well, they can't give him an extension now. This is our business because we're going to give him $30 million if he can't play home games. Like, this is going to last for like the next 10 years. Like, I mean, this is just, it's ridiculous. And at this point, it's like, you want to blame the player. I blame the state. What other state is doing this? What, California?
City. It's a city, I think.
Like,
it's
at
the city
this
of New
point,
York.
can we just cut out New York? If they're going to get in the way of progress, then I'm sorry, they have to go. I
got to tell you, I can't wait to see half the Yankees players have to sit, because I'm telling you, I think this will finally wake people up. I think, as bad as it is, I think this will finally wake people up. If half the Yankees roster and Mets roster had to sit out their home games, I think people would finally start looking into it and start looking at the numbers and the science of it and go, yeah, they're right. Of course. Why would we force these guys? I mean, if they're forcing the media people to do it, which is insane as well, and to force these guys to do this at this point, and they act like there's no risk, and nobody knows the long-term effects of this. And the data that's out there already is scary as hell. You don't see it because it's all censored. You got to go find it.
And even the MLB's ruling, by the way, the MLB doesn't have a vaccine requirement for the players, but the managers in the front office are required to be like booster. That's like 4 shots.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the players don't have to have anything. What's the difference?
Well, I think the players, because I've had players ask me that aren't in that organization that they're getting forced to get a shot. So I think somewhere, maybe it's minor league or wherever, somebody's forcing them to get the vaccine. At this point, this is really bizarre.
Yeah, and you already know it's going to be a big issue now in Toronto. This is the NHL effect again, where Canada comes into play. It hasn't really been a factor in the NHL because I only think there's like 1 or 2 players who are not vaccinated.
Right.
But there's definitely more in the MLB who are not. So that definitely plays a factor here. And to me, I'm over it. It's been 2 years. I've seen bubble sports. I've seen sports with canceling because of COVID. I'm over it all. Can we just play a normal season in one sport, please? This is the opportunity. You're starting in freaking April of 2022. Can I play a season without COVID protocols? Or am I going to have to wait to the NFL in September to see it? Because the NFL has no protocols.
Right.
It's all gone. I mean, the media's back in the locker rooms, and they got to be, quadruple boosted and wear a mask. Theater.
It's not doing anything. You're forcing people to do this stuff. And in the case of the vaccine, 24,000. This is according to the VAERS. I'm not making this up. This is the VAERS where people self-reported problems with the vaccine. 24,177 reports of pericarditis, myocarditis submitted in 2021. In 2022, through February 25th, 11,289 reports, nearly half of last year's total.
By the way, too, and thanks to Joe for pointing this out, because this applies as well. I forgot to preface this. If you're an opposing player coming to New York, in this rule as well, just like the same way it is with basketball, if you're an opposing player coming in unvaccinated, you can play.
What sense does that make?
You can play.
Like, well, where's the science behind this?
It makes no sense.
And people accept this as okay?
And the best one, like we said, was Kyrie Irving is walking around the Barclays Center, maskless, as a fan. He's sitting with his team on the sideline with no mask on.
And by the way, nobody else in the building is wearing masks.
But he can't play.
Right?
Yeah, there's no mask mandate to go to these games.
It's utterly ridiculous.
Like, wherever aisle you're on of COVID, by all means, wear your mask if you want to.
Yes.
But I think we should all agree that certain mandates go way too far and they make no sense. Just call out when it makes no sense. That's all I ask. By
the way, Richie P and Joe F, who are commenting in on our StreamYard and on YouTube, we appreciate all the stuff that you're getting in. And I want to definitely shout them out and thank them for participating in in some of those comments. We're talking about the Godwin situation earlier. What did Richie P say? This doesn't sound like a Jason Light thing to do, but who knows? We are in uncharted territory as far as him putting it out there that they may have to sign and trade him. It just reeks of an agent trying to just gouge the team for a ridiculous contract that is going to hamstring the Bucs for years and years to come, like the Julio Jones. Like, that's why the Falcons are in the situation they are in, because they couldn't move Matt Ryan's contract. They couldn't move Julio's contract. They couldn't go out and get free agents and balance their team. You can't, as much as you love a player, you cannot go past sane numbers. You just can't. And I think that's where the Bucs are right now with Chris Godwin. So, Chris, call your agent. Tell him to stop the nonsense. Get the deal done, buddy. You know you want to be here. Let's make it happen. All right. Thanks to Leo Haggerty for joining us today. Great job, Nick Geddes. Thanks you guys for chiming in as well. Great show today. We had a lot of fun with it. If you want to go back and listen to our takes on the Buccaneers and Brady and all the guys they brought in, check that out. Just subscribe on any of our podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. You can watch the show, always on Facebook and Twitter as well. Lots of places to get it. We really appreciate y'all for listening. We'll be live out at the Valspar tomorrow and on Friday with a lot of special guests. So join us for that. We'll see you then.